I can hear you, Stacy.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everybody's audio and whoever has their screens up is working other than Randy. So,
Okay, perfect.
Okay, while we're waiting for Randy to call back in, I just want to let Tyson and Eric know to use the raise hand function that you should see at the bottom of your screen if you would like to request to be unmuted. And then I will let the chair know, and they will call on you at the appropriate time.
sure. And we will prompt you to be able to speak on behalf of the project. But we'll let you know when that time comes.
Okay.
Oh, Randy, you're going to have to turn off your volume on your screen if you're going to talk through the phone, because then there'll be a feedback. And then Andy, can you oh, I think you got it, the unmute for.
All right. All right. We're ready. Sorry. All right.
Okay, Randy, if you'd like to start us off.
Sure. This meeting is called to order. Secretary, please call roll.
Odette,
Here.
Jakubczyk, absent.
Ann's absent.
Henny,
Here.
Yerke,
Here.
Kane,
Here.
Wagner, absent. Gregoric,
Here. Okay, a motion is in order to accept the Board of Zoning Appeals annual meeting dated December 14th, 2020 minutes.
I move we accept the minutes as published.
I second that.
Okay, first by Stacy, second by Richard. Secretary, please call roll.
Henny,
Did you say me? I'm sorry.
yes, Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Gregoric,
Aye. Yeah, a motion is in order to accept the Board of Housing Appeals annual meeting dated December 14, 2020.
I move we approve the minutes as published.
Okay,
I second.
first by Stacy, second by Richard. Secretary, please call roll.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Gregoric.
Aye. Okay, we will now hear case number 21-0001. Secretary, can you please read the appeal into the record?
City of Oak Creek, notice of public hearing before the Board of Zoning Appeals. This meeting will be held by video conference only. Persons wishing to participate, including applicants and their representatives, must register via ocwi.org/register prior to the meeting. The video conference will begin at 6:55 p.m. to allow participants to log in. Persons who wish to view the meeting live without participating may visit the City of Oak Creek YouTube page at ocwi.org/livestream. Persons requiring other reasonable accommodations may contact the city at 766, 7000. Requests should be made as far in advance as possible, preferably a minimum of 48 hours. A public hearing for case number 21-0001 will be held on Monday, April 26, 2021 at 7 p.m. Again, the meeting is held via video conference. The appellant is Tyson Clayhatch, 9921 South Shepherd Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154. The tax key number is 923-9027-000. The property location is 9921 South Shepherd Avenue. To request a variance of Oak Creek Municipal Code, sections 17.0307 F2 and Municipal Code section 17.0307 F2 states in part, there shall be a side setback on each side of all principal residential buildings of not less than 10 feet in width. If granted, the variance would allow the applicant to construct a garage addition with a side setback of 3.25 feet on the property located at 9921 South Shepherd Avenue. The zoning of property is RS3, single-family residential. All persons wishing to be heard are invited to participate via video conference, dated the 7th day of April, 2021. Board of Zoning Appeals, City of Oak Creek, Wisconsin, signed by Randy Gregorek, Chairman.
Okay, this hearing will be held under the rules and procedures adopted by the Board of Zoning Appeals. Those giving testimony shall give their name and address and be sworn in. After the appellant's testimony, the letter of denial will be read into the record. We will then hear from those in favor and those in opposition. After all testimony is heard and the public hearing closed, the board will then deliberate for the purpose of rendering a decision. Can the appellant please state their name and address, and you will be sworn in.
Good evening. My name is Tyson Klahach, and my address is 9921 South Shepherd Avenue in Oak Creek, 53154.
Okay, thank you. You raise your right hand, please. Swear or affirm that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you state the reason for your request or for your variance?
Yes. So the main reason why is last fall, my wife and I started to look at some home improvements, including new windows and roof on our house, and then we also started to talk and plan for the future for ourselves, as we do have 2 children. And at some point, they're going to be driving and have vehicles. And we wanted to add on an addition to our garage that would allow us to have a full-size garage to be able to park a vehicle. As we know, Wisconsin winters can be brutal and can be difficult. And so being able to park a third vehicle inside for our children would be very important, and something we would like for them, as well as vehicle break-ins and things like that are always a concern. And working with vessel contractors and the such, this is what we've come up with on needing for adding a full-size garage addition to be able to fit a vehicle in and everything as well. So kind of the main idea and the main point of this is to provide for family and have what we need to be able to give our children and ourselves an extra garage spot to be able to park vehicle, especially during brutal Wisconsin winters and the such.
Okay, is that the extent of your testimony at this time?
Yes.
Okay. Does any of the board members have any questions for the appellant? Any questions by the board members? No questions at this time? Okay, Secretary, can you please read the letter of denial into the record?
Dated February 19th, 2021, to Tyson Klahatch, 9921 South Shepherd Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154. Regarding letter of denial, section 17.0307, single family residential district, 9921 South Shepherd Avenue, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, 53154, tax key number 923-9027-000. Dear applicant, I have reviewed the proposed permit application for the addition at 9921 South Shepherd Avenue. I am unable to approve the permit application because the proposed addition would be situated 3.25 feet from the left property line, exceeding what is allowed by code section 17.0307 F2, states in part, there shall be a side setback on each side of all principal residential buildings of not less than 10 feet in width. Consider this letter as an official letter of denial. If you wish to appeal staff's decision, you may apply for a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals within 30 days of this letter. To appeal the decision, complete an appeal application and return it to the city clerk's office along with a copy of this letter and a fee in the amount of $250. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at lmiller@oakcreekwisconsin.org or 414-766-7026, and I will be happy to assist you through the process. Sincerely, Lori Miller, Zoning Administration /Planner.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor? Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor that's attending? Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor? So is there anyone else on this meeting that has a testimony that they would like to do on behalf of the appellant? Okay, nobody? Okay.
Andy, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just have a question. Sorry, it's kind of late. But in reading the request, I see it says that the neighbor that shares the lot line has agreed to the proposed addition. Does he have anything like maybe in writing? We don't want to approve it or something, and then maybe later on the neighbor says, "Hey, like no, I never said this was okay," and it becomes an issue in the future.
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you, Tal. Is there anything? Do we have anything on record? Can we have Lori come on, and then Lori will need to swear you in?
Sure.
We do have a caller that has raised their hand. I don't know if they are asking in favor or opposed.
Okay.
Would you like me to allow them to speak?
Yes, please.
Sure. Or that could be the neighbor. Okay.
Okay. So caller ending in phone number 819. State your
That's
name.
Randy, this is Larry Bodette.
Oh,
When the appellant started talking about his reason for the appeal, I heard him say about future drivers, and then I didn't hear any more after that. I was cut off. So I re-called in, and I got back in.
Okay, Larry. Is that the phone number then that was waiting on hold? Is that the number that came through now?
Yeah, 0819, that's my last four.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
could somebody just briefly state what he said, why they need the appeal?
Okay. Can we get the appellant back on, and then we'll come back to you. Okay, because Larry just got back on. So can the appellant restate the reason for the variance request, the details on this?
Yeah,
I apologize.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'd be happy to. So like I kind of started out to say was, back in fall, my wife and I started to look at doing some home improvements here. We've lived in Oak Creek for 9 years now, and we enjoy living here and enjoy our home and want to stay here for quite a long time. So we've started to look at some home improvements just to update our house, including windows and roof. And currently we have a two-stall garage where my wife and I can park in. And, starting to think about the future and planning with our family that we have, and we have 2 children. And at some point, they're going to have vehicles as well. And due to the Wisconsin winters and how other things can affect, it would be really nice to be able to park a vehicle inside. Unfortunately, the way that our house is oriented, we can't build our garage any deeper because directly behind our garage is our bathroom and one of our children's bedrooms. So really the only option for us is to build to the side of our house. Which brings us to why we're here today, is because in order for us to build to the side, we need a little bit more space to be able to put a full-size garage, to be able to fit another vehicle, as well as be able to store other things as well for our family.
Okay, thank you, Tyson. And Larry, did you hear that?
Yes, I did, thanks.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tal, can you repeat your question so we got it, so everybody can hear that again?
So yeah, on the appeal, I see that he said that the neighbor's property that shares the lot has agreed to the proposed addition, and I was just wondering if we have anything on record from the neighbor, just in case, just to have.
Okay, and now we're gonna bring Lori in, and Lori, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay.
We did not receive anything other than just what the applicant wrote. But we did not receive a letter that stated that the neighbors supported it.
Okay. Tyson, do you have, do you know if the neighbor was going to be attending this meeting today, and that they gave you permission, or they gave you acknowledgement for doing this addition to your garage?
I do not have anything in writing from him, and I do not know if he was planning to attend the meeting. Based on the fact that he's not here, it does not seem like he was planning to attend.
Okay. All right. All right, well, we'll continue with the process, and then we would, Lori, has this ever happened before where we didn't receive a letter and then we require that verification?
I am not aware of it, but I believe you couldn't that would just be hearsay.
I'm sorry, you cut out there.
Sure. I'm not aware of any other situation where we allowed somebody to say, essentially this is hearsay. So essentially he's saying that his neighbor said this, but we don't have actual proof.
Okay, all right, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, all right, let's continue on. Now, can I ask, there's nobody else out there, there's no other numbers that we have out there right now that are just waiting, correct?
I don't see any, Randy.
Okay, good, all right. All right, so I'm going to continue. The next step would be to say, is there anyone else here attending this meeting that's wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in opposition? Is there anyone else here wishing to speak in opposition? I'm required to say that. We do not have any other attendees out there. Now we're gonna have the board members bring in each of the board members with any questions at this point, because I'm sure there's got to be some additional questions for the appellant. And one of the questions too is, was an option, Tyson, did you look at possibly extending your garage forward and having like an additionally long garage? Would that have been then within compliance? Because you wouldn't be encroaching on the 10-foot side setback?
That I am not sure. I believe if I remember when I look correctly, it's 30 feet from the road.
Okay.
And I'm not sure, but I believe that, yes, it would be, we're pretty close to right on 30 feet from the road as well.
No, okay, all right, that's good to know. We just want to make sure that that was something that also was checked into. And is there, I noticed you had a storage shed behind the house, and that storage shed basically you're probably all filled up there too, correct? It's a smaller one, so I take it that there wasn't an option for you to build another accessory building behind the house?
So we do have a small 10 by 10 little shed in the back of our house, but nothing else.
Okay.
The rest of what you're seeing on there is kind of like a little fire pit area.
Okay.
And then the other portion of it kind of near I guess it would be the southwest end of our lot. That's a swing set area for our children.
Okay. And now Lori, they're allowed to have like an accessory shed that can be 5 feet away from the lot line, correct?
They can have 2 accessory buildings 5 feet away from the property line, unless it's over 720 square feet, and then it would be required to be 15 feet off of the property line. And those accessory structures would also have to remain 10 feet away from the principal structure.
Okay. Now, did you say for the accessory structure, how far away from the lot line does it have to be?
5 feet if it's under 720 square feet. And if it's over 720 square feet, it would have to remain 15 feet away from the property line.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Andy,
right.
I got a quick question. When I wasn't connected, was Lori sworn in?
Yes. You were
Okay.
sworn in.
Good. Thanks.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Hey, Richard?
Yes, Randy, on your point about the garage, the drawing submitted shows that it's 70 feet from the road to the front of the house.
Okay.
No, the setback is 30.
That's the center of Shepherd Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
70
Yeah.
feet to the center of Shepherd.
It's a little tricky.
Well, yeah, but even if it was the center of Shepherd, how wide is Shepherd? It wouldn't be wide enough to only leave 30 feet.
May I speak?
This is Larry.
It is.
On the application for their building permit, it says the front setback is 42 feet.
Okay. Okay. So that.
Okay, the 70 is to the center of the road. So you got 42, you got a 42-foot setback from the road to the building then.
Okay. So Lori, with what Richard's bringing up here, would they have, I'm just throwing this out here just as a question, would they have the ability to build 12 feet then in front of the current garage toward, in the front part? So it'd be a 12-foot extension forward. Because if that's the case, if it's 42 feet and they have to have the 30-foot setback, then they would be allowed to extend that garage forward?
No, so where that yellow polygon is around it, that's actually their property line. So they need to remain 30 feet away from that property line, not from Shepherd. So they are at the current setback. So they wouldn't be able to come any forward. They would have to receive a variance for that.
Okay, all right, thank you for clarifying that. Okay, so that addresses your concern, Richard.
Well, I have a couple. The second one is if you look at the elevation drawing of this building, when you're looking at the the south elevation, you're talking about a building that's over 17 foot high. And you want to place that 3 feet off the lot line, your lot line. That's very dominating in that small of a space. I surely wouldn't want a neighbor building on my lot line coming up within 3 feet of my lot and then building a 17-foot tall structure. Number two is if that variance is granted down to 3 feet, we're assuming that the other, from observation, I would say that the other house to, which would be to the south of you, is probably pretty close to the 10 feet. So that's only going to give you about 13 feet between two structures, and both those structures are approaching, they're not two-story structures, but because of the design of the garage roof, you're going to have heights. They're going to have two structures. They're going to be around 17 foot or better tall, with only about 11 feet, less than 11 feet between them. That doesn't look very aesthetically pleasing to me. Okay. That's it.
Mr. Chair, we have requests to speak by both Eric Vessel and Tyson.
Yeah, the reason why I had raised my hand real quick, and I don't know if this works at all or if you're going to be able to hear, but I was able to get my neighbor on.
Oh,
Sorry.
Tyson, we just lost you.
Can you hear me now?
We've got you now.
Perfect. The reason why I just wanted, so I was able to get, and I don't know if this helps or not, but I was able to get my neighbor on the phone here real quick, and I don't know if it makes a difference or not, but I was just going to have him speak real quick.
He would have to call in on the actual.
Okay,
Can
I
you,
will.
could you send him a link?
Yeah, I will get him the number that he can call in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mike, can I just?
And actually, Andy, I apologize. Don't we need to have all speakers registered beforehand?
I'm not sure on the exact code if it requires them to register beforehand, but he can call in the phone number.
It says on our sheet that they must register prior to the meeting.
Yeah, then, I mean, I guess if that is how it's stated on the sheet, then that would be what would have to happen. I mean, from an IT technical perspective, he could call in just as Larry and Richard did. But if that is against procedures, then that would be up to you guys.
Well, wouldn't it be him calling in even though he didn't register? Would that be just like someone coming to a meeting if we were meeting in person? They don't register to come in person.
Yeah, this is Larry. I agree with Stacy.
Yeah, I do too. This is Richard. I mean, we have neighbors coming in speaking for and against without being registered.
I agree.
So I don't see a reason why we would not listen to the neighbor.
Okay.
Calling is not one of the zoning board of appeals rules.
No, right, I agree. And I think anybody who has something to say should be heard. They should have a right.
I agree with that.
Tyson, is the gentleman that could you provide his name?
Yeah, his name is Mike. I'm trying to get him the information right now. He said that the reason why he didn't call in is because he thought he would only have to if he opposed it.
Michael Hamilton Jr.?
Yes.
Okay, I see his name as being notified at the meeting on the list of people.
Okay.
Yeah, so he had said he thought because they weren't opposing it that he didn't think he would need to call in, but he said he's going to call in.
Okay, I have a caller that just came in with the last numbers of their phone being 402. I've allowed you to unmute. Can you identify yourself?
I
Oh,
need to know.
oh, wait. This is Randy. I'm on 2402. I had to call in. I got cut off.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right, so that
All right,
was.
sorry about that. Okay. All right, so now we have my understanding from what I could hear is that the neighbor is able to attend after all.
Yes,
And
We're
now
just
we're
waiting.
waiting.
we're just
For
waiting
them
for
to
him to
call
call
in?
in. Correct.
Okay,
Randy.
good. I think that's very important. As Tal brought up, we can't just go by hearsay. So I think that's really critical to hear that neighbor's opinion on this as well. Now, Larry, are you still there?
I'm still here.
Oh, good. Richard, we're good. You got you can hear okay?
Yep, fine.
Okay, good. And Stacy?
I'm fabulous, thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask Lorraine a question?
All right.
Can I ask Lorraine a question?
Sure.
Lorraine, that 2.5 existing car garage on the south side of the property, what's the distance to the property line? Nowhere does it say 10 feet. Is it exactly 10 feet on both sides of the house?
Are you talking about the neighbor's property or are you talking about the 9921?
The 9921, the south side.
It's
From the
a little bit under 11.5 feet away from the property line
11.5, okay.
currently. And so adding the 8-foot addition on would put it at that 2.25 feet. And actually the overhang would be at 2.25, but we still just consider the wall as, the setback. So.
Right.
It looks like Mr. Vessel put something in the chat. The building wall section shows 8 feet plus 7 feet 3 inches is only 15 feet 3 inches.
So the addition is how wide?
I think he's saying it's 15.3.
That's different than, you're talking about the depth.
I'm reading what he said in the Q&A. If you could unmute his mic and make it a little bit more clear, but that's just it's in the Q&A. If you can click it, you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so earlier it was stated that we're over 17 feet in height, but we're only 15.3 on a sidewall.
And I, if you don't mind me adding, the height of the addition is the same height as the house.
Correct.
And during the process, we did get varying heights at different times through the permitting process. So what you see before you is what we were given at the end of the.
Okay. And Lori, can you show us really closely so that everyone can see the height then on this, because okay, so that's exactly the same height as the house.
Mm-hmm, correct.
In that now, Tyson, you stated that as to be 15.3. Is that what the statement was?
That is what I stated, Eric Vessel.
Okay. Okay. And then now the distance, the
Eric,
width of the addition, the width is going to be, I thought it was 10 feet at first.
Larry, can I interrupt? Was Eric Vessel sworn in?
No, he was not.
not.
Okay, we're going to have to
him in before we continue.
Yes.
Right, but right, yeah. Let's swear Eric in. Could you solemnly state your name and your address?
Eric Vessel in 655 92nd Street, Franksville, Wisconsin, 53126.
Okay, Eric, can you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And you're located at a different location then? You just stated a different address?
our business address or my personal home address. I gave you my
Oh.
personal home address because that's what you
Oh,
asked
okay.
me for.
Okay, all right, good. All right, you were gonna add, Eric?
So the addition's only 10 feet wide, or 10 feet with the overhang. It's only 8 feet by itself.
Okay, okay, that's good to know. So the
And then-
overhang is, okay,
But
And
the
then-
overhang is 1 foot.
yes, according to that drawing, yes, it is 1 foot.
So the garage, this is Richard, so that means the garage addition would be 8 feet. Or 9 feet, excuse me. If the
No, Lori-
whole, if the whole
Lori
addition
said-
is 10 feet and we have a 1 foot overhang, then we're adding actually 10 feet or 9 feet onto the building for the garage.
Yes, you are correct.
And that's, now, that 3 feet is to the garage wall, correct, from the property line?
Correct. That's what we had on the plat that they provided.
Okay, not the overhang dimension, to the
No.
garage wall.
We go
Okay.
to the wall and not the overhang.
Okay, all right.
Okay, okay, that's a good point. Okay.
Lori,
it
do you
doesn't-
happen to know how far the neighbor's house is from his lot line?
I don't, but I can estimate it at around 12 feet.
Yeah, it looked very close to the ordinance. I would guess 10, somewhere between 10 and 12 feet. You know, if you go look at it, you can sort of guess where the property line is because of the swale and where
Yeah.
the, you know, and
Yeah, I did go look at it and I did notice that swale.
Okay,
This is
now,
Larry.
now
I want to confirm what Laureen said. She said the existing garage wall is 11.5 feet to the property line. Is that correct?
That's my understanding when we were provided the plat.
Okay, and then we were just told the new part, the new extension would be 8 feet without the overhang, because the overhangs don't matter.
no, extension is 8 feet.
What we were given is that the addition was 10 feet, which is what is written on the plan. And that puts the setback at 3.25 feet. So that is at the base of the wall, not at the eave.
Okay, we'll go with what they said then with the 3.25.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay, now I want to ask one more thing. Now the addition would be 3.25 feet from the property line. If the variance would be granted, it would be then 6.75 feet encroachment into the 10-foot side setback, because that's the way we always put it. How much of a,
correct. And I can quick try to verify again what that plat says. Unfortunately, it didn't make it into the packet. But I
Okay.
believe it is correct.
okay,
so they need
So,
a
yeah.
variance of 6.75 feet?
that's correct. It's 6.75 based on the, how close the wall will be to the property line.
Okay.
So that's the variance that's being approved today, 6.75. Okay.
This is Larry.
Oh,
Another question, if I can?
sure, Larry.
On the drawing we got that shows the property in a light shaded blue, on the west, in the back of the property, there's like a purple line that runs across through the property. What is that purple line? It goes north to south.
It could be their
That is-
chain link fence. Is it possible it's their chain link fence? They have a fenced in backyard.
No,
Yeah.
I don't believe so. That's part of. Let me look into that for you real quickly.
Okay,
We do have another caller.
okay.
Last numbers of 733, if you'd like me to unmute them and allow them to talk.
Yes, please.
Sure, that sounds good. Okay, hello, new caller, can you identify yourself, please?
Yes. Yes, this is Mike Hamilton. I am the neighbor to the south.
Okay, Mike, can you please restate your name again and your address, and then we'll swear you in?
Yes. It's Mike Hamilton, 9931 South Shepherd Avenue.
Okay. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you for attending today.
Yes. Sorry, I did not know that I needed to respond if I didn't have an issue.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really glad that you attended though, because it's going to be,
Yeah.
your voice on this is critical to the decision as well.
Yes. Yes. No problem.
Okay, so you're aware that this property, the extension is going to be, it's going to be 3.25 away from the lot line, and the overhang is going to be a foot, closer to your lot line. So that's
Yeah.
going to be right up against lot, and you have no problem with that whatsoever?
I do not.
Okay, all right.
I mean, he has a poured slab there already, which I measured. It only really is pretty much only a foot away from that, at least from my measuring. So I have no
Okay.
issue.
Okay, so
That's my garage side. It's not like I got a window over there and I would look out at it. It's on my garage side too. So,
Okay, all right, that's good. Okay, thank you very much for stating that. And then now you said,
Sure.
Now the slab's already poured on this?
He had a slab there, like for his dog, I believe there. And I kind of measured, and it's only about a foot more away from there, at least from what I was measuring, kind of a guesstimate. Even
okay.
so, I still, it really doesn't affect me, So
Okay.
I have absolutely no issue.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to raise this question for the board members. Board members, do you have any questions for Mike? You said Mike, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Mike before we go on? Any board members?
Just a quick comment. Would
Okay,
Mike
sure.
then in the future be allowed to, if he were to want to extend his garage, I'm assuming that he would not be able to get a variance in the future, right? Or would he be able to still manage to get one if we approve this one?
Oh, you mean myself doing the same?
Yeah.
I don't plan on doing that. There was a little dog area there. I've only been in this home, going on 4 years here now. So we've been slowly doing things on the side. So that side was a dog cage there at one point. So I really don't have a plans to add on there. Actually, I was on maybe a fence, the fence in my yard more from his chain link, but that's nothing I'm doing right now.
Okay. That's good.
So-
Thanks for clarifying that. Tal, thanks for
Sure.
that question.
Yeah.
So then too, and that is a good point. Now you've lived in your property now, you said for 4 years, did you say?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. The only concern we'd have is that if you ever sell your house, that this property with the garage extension is going to be that close to the lot line. So that's only one of the concerns
Sure.
that we'd have too, if that ever occurred, because then the person that purchases your house would be impacted by that the garage extension being that close. So
yeah.
okay,
But
all right.
But again, I mean, I don't know if you've seen if there was any pictures taken or anything there. I mean, that side of that house there is my, like I said, it's my garage side. So I don't
Right.
see it there. You know, I kind of stash my own junk there. I shouldn't be doing, excuse me. But again, you know, I'm not looking out my window seeing it, and it's not much farther from what he's got in my eyes. So,
Okay. All right, good,
So-
good to know.
Randy,
All
I
right.
just have,
again, I don't plan on moving anytime. I don't plan on moving in the future, you know, anytime soon. I got kids still in school, so
Okay,
we're going to be here a little while.
okay. All right, good. Now, Stacy, did you have a question?
well, no, it was just two separate comments. One was to tell for if the neighbor could request a variance or get a variance. We wouldn't know if he could get one unless he came and requested, because every variance is individually considered.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
just by granting the neighbor, say we grant this one tonight, does not mean the neighbor automatically could not get one because of the property lines and how close they are. That would have to be a
Okay.
whole separate case.
Whole
Right.
separate. Okay, I understand.
Right,
And
we'd
then-
have to look at each case individually when it's brought to the board. So yes,
Then to your point, Randy, about our concern about if the neighbor would sell his home
Mhm.
and then the next person would be impacted. Well,
Okay.
that's really not our concern either, because if the gentleman would sell his house, it's up to the
Mhm.
future buyer to decide if this, the neighbor is the way it's constructed, if that's a problem and they don't want to live there and therefore not buy the house, or
Right.
if it's fine with them. So in my mind, that's not really a valid point, because whoever buys the house, it's up to them to decide.
Yeah, this is Richard. If you have a valid variance, they either look at the property and you either like it or you don't. There are a lot of
That's
things people build that are within code that people may turn down the opportunity to purchase property because they just don't like what they see. So,
That's right.
Oh, right.
But it's
But
not, I don't feel like that is something that would weigh in my decision.
Okay. I just threw that out there, and I'm glad you brought that up so that you could clarify that further, because I feel that could be going through someone's mind in terms of what Tal brought up. I thought that was a valid point too, that if someone did buy the house, they wanted to do the same extension, that, you know, that could be a concern that you know, we'd have to look at that case separately, but still that might limit that person's ability to do that extension, to bring, then the two garages would be really close together. So, but yeah, that's a good point, Stacy. I just threw that out there so we could talk about it just like you did.
Okay.
And I'm glad you brought it up the way you did. So thanks.
My pleasure.
Okay, anybody else with any questions for the appellant or for Mike, since he still was answering questions here? Any other questions by the board here?
Yeah, this is Larry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm still trying to figure out what that purple line is on that drawing.
I have an answer for you, if it's okay that I speak.
Yes.
This is part of a CSM. So that last section of the property was actually provided from the property behind it to make it into a viable lot.
Oh,
Oh, to make it a buildable lot? Hello?
Did you hear the answer?
Can you repeat it, Lori? So because you got,
Sure.
might have been a little cut off there.
Sorry, I've got a lot of programs going on right now to help figure out that question. So
Okay.
this was part of a CSM. This is lot 2. So there was part of the lot behind it that was provided to this lot to make it into an actual compliant lot so that you could build on it.
Okay.
So that's what that extra, it's about 15 feet was provided.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, okay, Larry?
I have a question for the appellant. It says additional room is needed to store equipment for maintaining the property. Is it what kind of equipment is he talking about, additional storing?
Okay, Tyson, can you clarify that again clarify that for Larry?
Yeah, so that's talking about lawnmowers, snow blower, things like that. As well as it also gives us space to store stuff for our children that we have, bikes, pedal car, things like that our children use as well to play with.
Okay. Okay.
Just
And then,
one thing that I wanted to quickly clarify as well. My neighbor had mentioned that I've got a concrete slab ready there. That concrete slab has been there for quite a while. That has not been poured for the garage addition. We have a dog, and we use that for kind of a dog kennel area. So that concrete that's currently there has been there for quite a few years. That was not poured just already in anticipation of a garage. That's been there for a while.
Oh, good. I'm glad you clarified that too, because and now is that going to have to be ripped up for extending this so that you have the proper footings or whatever for this addition? And is this going to have to be redone then? Okay.
Yes, that concrete would have to be redone to have the proper footings for the garage addition.
Yep. Okay. All right, good. Thanks for clarifying that, Tyson. Okay. Any other questions by the board members?
This is Larry again.
Okay, Larry.
Lorraine, now they can put up a 720 square foot accessory building, a second one in the back, as long as they're 5 feet from the property lines. Is that correct?
They have a maximum of 40% lot coverage. I believe they're under. So they would be able to put up a 720 square foot garage in the back, and potentially up to 1,000 square feet. However, I think their challenge is that access. They would have to go through their garage to get access to that garage behind the house, because there's not enough room between the home and the property line to pour a slab. Any slab would have to remain 5 feet away from the property line.
No, that I understand, but for storing lawnmowers and stuff, that could.
Yes, they absolutely have room for that.
Okay.
Okay, and Lori, you looked at this and they could fit the 720 and it'd still be, I thought the accessory building would have to be, did you say 15 feet before away from the lot line?
Sure. So any accessory structure under 720 square feet would have to remain 5 feet away from the property line and 10 feet away from the principal structure. If it was a structure over 720 square feet, it would have to remain 15 feet away from the property line and 20 feet away from the home. But a 720 square foot structure is essentially a 3-car garage, which I believe our applicant is not looking to go that large.
Right. That's a good point too, because he's only looking for the 9 foot wide. And how deep is that garage? I mean, that's going to be 24 feet deep with this. So it's 9 feet wide, 24 feet deep.
Yes, that is correct. The other concern, because we did look at something too for the backyard, and Lori brought up one of the points of how difficult it would be to get back there. The second issue with it is that would take up a very, very large portion of our backyard. I mean, if we would go all the way to 720 square feet, but even anything smaller than that, it takes up a lot of our green space then, and a lot of the area for where our children and everything can run around if we're trying to put more to the backyard. That was kind of the other concern of ours.
Right. And how big, Tyson, can you clarify how big your backyard is then? Just in terms of, you got a rough idea how much green space you got back there?
I believe we're 120 feet wide And so from north to south, and I might be off a little bit, but I want to say it's like 120 feet from north to south, and then about 50 feet from the back of the house. So east and west, about 50 feet.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's not a lot of room.
No, correct.
50
And
feet.
what Lori had brought up before too is, yeah, we had to get that extra 15 feet just to make our backyard a little bit bigger because it was pretty small before.
Right.
Because yeah, like I said, that's something we took a look at, is trying to do something to the back of the yard, but getting back there would be difficult. It would also take up a very large portion of the yard, which then takes away a lot of green space and area. And then you brought up aesthetics before as well. Aesthetically, it might just not look very pleasing as well, having a huge chunk of your backyard with accessory buildings.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. Board members, does that help? You got any other questions for Tyson?
This is Larry, I do.
Okay, Larry.
In our zoning handbook, one of the things they talk about is having or anticipating a larger family is not a reason for granting a variance. And Pete, in one of the other meetings, said like a tidy and nice yard is not a reason for granting variance. That doesn't apply here, but that other part does, where anticipating a larger family is not a reason for granting a variance. I understand what they mean about parking, but
Okay, that's a good point too, Larry.
get into
Okay.
it, because some of the stuff could be put in another shed, possibly make room for another car. The garage is 25 feet deep, 24 feet wide, but that's all I'm saying right now.
Right. Okay. That's a good point. All right, and then Tyson, with that shed you currently have, is that was it like 8 by 10 or that shed back there, or is it 6 by 8?
I believe it's 10 by 10.
10 by 10? Okay.
Yep.
All right. And I take it, you're storing lawnmowers or something like you're storing stuff in there right now currently. Now,
Yeah,
is your
lawnmower, patio furniture, kids' toys, things like that.
okay. And then now, is your garage? You said earlier you can't really park a car in the garage. Did you say? Or
We're
did
able to park my vehicle and my wife's vehicle in there now, but the idea of trying to be able to provide for the children, and and even though Larry brought up a great point, we're not trying to extend our family at all at any point. We have two children, and that's all we're going to have. The main idea is wanting to have that third stall garage, to be able to have the opportunity for them, when you go around and look at a lot of new construction and everything, a lot of it nowadays pretty much almost standard is that 3-stall garage. And that's what we'd like to have, to be able to provide that opportunity for our children as well.
Okay. And Tyson, and I apologize, did you move into this house was it 98 or?
No, the house was built in 98. We moved in July of 2011. So we've been here for coming up 10 years this July.
Okay. And just a question for you. When you purchased a house, did you think about the storage aspect at all? I know it's probably a silly question to ask, but it's something like we were mentioning, that if someone buys the neighboring house, they're going to think about, before they buy it, what the situation at hand. And that's why we're wondering, when you purchased this house, did it, all of a sudden now you're in a situation where you need more storage space?
No, so when we moved in here, the main reason we had purchased this house is we really like the area, we really like the school system.
Okay.
The idea of the storage definitely was something that crossed our mind, and that we knew we'd probably need to try to add on later on. I wouldn't say it definitely wasn't one of the contributing factors, that's for sure, but definitely something that crossed our mind at the time.
Okay.
That's also, a few years before we had children and everything. So that's why I say it was probably one of the things on the back of our mind more than the forefront. But yeah, I mean, the main reason why we chose the area is because we really like the area. We really like the schools around where we live as well. And the house as well. The house is a very nice house.
Okay. All right. Thanks for clarifying that.
Randy, this is Richard.
Okay, Richard.
To expand a little bit on what Larry was talking about, you'd almost think that probably 75 to 80% the homes in Oak Creek probably only have a 2-car garage, although the new ones, again, are built with 3 cars. And I think every one of those people with a 2-car garage, myself included, wish I had a 3rd-car garage for a lot of reasons. But I don't think that wanting to park a car, another car, or your toys is a justification for the variance. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, your point is well taken. So and Larry, I'm sure Larry was going in, or he brought something up on that point as well. Right, Larry? You had brought that up with the concern about that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks for also stating that, Richard. All right. Anybody else? Stacy, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Tal, how about you?
All good, thanks.
Okay. Does the zoning administrator have anything else to add at this time?
I'm not allowed to add commentary, so.
Okay. Oh, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Do you have anything else to add before we start wrapping up our questions for you?
Our applicant does have his hand up.
Pardon?
Our applicant has her hand up if you'd like to let them speak.
Okay, let's have him speak.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for the time. I really do appreciate the thoroughness of this and know that this decision is not taken lightly at all. I really do appreciate it. I also don't know if this is a possibility, but if this is not, this being so close to Broadway line at 3.25, if that is ultimately said, no, that's not possible. What would I be able to do? Could I be 4 feet from the property line? Could I be 5 feet? What would be possible?
You would have to, Tyson, you would have to be 10 feet away from the property line. And then if there was another plan that you'd like to go through, you would have to go through the process again. And it would have to be judged basically on its independent merits. So, but that is something that, once we find out the outcome of this meeting, if you want to explore that, please contact me and then I'll help you through it.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And Tyson, if we were going to deny this, I'll just be honest with you, if we're going to deny it on this footage, just 2 more feet is not good. It would be in the same type of a situation. We would be looking at it still as an encroachment on that side setback. So I don't think a couple feet would make a difference on that. The only other option I would say would be to consider putting an accessory shed, and I know that's going to take room away from your backyard, but then it would give you the storage you need. But that would be the other option. And if anybody disagrees with me, but that's where I think I don't think we would. If this came back to us later and it was going to be just like 5 feet, instead of 3.25 away from the lot line, I think you'd be in the same situation. Does anybody disagree with me?
I think what you're trying to say, Larry, is, yeah, Tyson, you filled out the application and what those requests for variance questions are, and trying to meet the criteria, and whatever item that you're requesting would have to meet the requirements and the essentially the criteria to overcome the reason why we have that in the code for the first place. So it would just have to be a very compelling reason to overcome it.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Lori. Okay. Thank you. All right. All right. If there's no other questions,
I have a question for Lori, just for
Okay.
information purposes. If our appellant wanted to build an accessory structure in the backyard, he decided he was wanting to give up some of his green space to put up a somewhat larger structure, still meeting code, but could house a car in the future. How far would a driveway have to be from a lot line and,
It would have-
and his house?
It would have to be 5 feet. And so when we were working with the contractor, with the coworker of Eric Vessel, we were going through that process of discussing that. And unfortunately, there's just not enough room to put a driveway to the south of the property. So their option would have to be going through the original garage and putting basically a garage door on the back side of it to access that backyard.
Okay, and would that hold true on the north side of his home?
You
If
wouldn't be able
he-
to have a second driveway.
I'm sorry, what?
He wouldn't be able to have a second driveway on the property. You know, like a separate entrance or access to Shepherd.
However, and of course, I'm just pulling this out of air to try and think of options. He could put a driveway off his existing driveway that could wrap around his house.
I would have to look into that, but I think he also is into the same issue on the north side as well, where there's
Okay.
just not much room to, you know, maneuver a driveway in there. So,
Although at least with that lot line, that other neighbor has all grass there, so it's not encroaching on a house.
yeah.
But,
that's
okay,
right.
But those are things
Yeah,
that
and-
we're always willing to work out with the applicant afterwards, or, you know,
Yeah.
even through the original permitting process. You know, I don't mind people, you know, spitballing questions and trying to do that. So they can definitely contact me and I'll help them.
yeah. Well, you just, you know, in case it's a no tonight, you're just trying to think of options that possibly are available to him
Sure, of course.
so that he can have what he wants.
That is a good point, Stacy, because when I look at that too, I see that other shed back there and I see an open space on that side
Right.
that for access. And I'm just thinking, I'm just throwing this out to you, Tyson, too, is if you considered making that shed actually a bigger shed. You know, maybe but I know it would have to be further away from the lot line, but you could have a bigger shed in the back and then you'd have access on that north side. But that's just something.
Let's look at that later if that's
Yeah.
what it needs to come at. That's
Sure.
not something I could really do right now during the Board
Sure.
of Appeals
Sure.
meeting.
Okay.
But I'm
All right.
definitely willing to work with the applicant. If that's something they want to explore, let's look at it.
Okay. All right. All right. So if there's no other questions by the board members,
Randy, Larry has a question.
okay, Larry.
Yeah, Lori, I know you don't want to look at it, but just throwing it up in the air. On the north side of the building, you said concrete or a driveway would have to be 5 feet from the property line.
Correct.
So we could theoretically give a variance for 5 feet for a concrete or a driveway going on that side of the house. Is that correct?
But yeah, it would have to meet the criteria to have it awarded. So, you know,
Okay,
that's something but it would have to be done through a separate separate process.
Right, right,
So,
oh yeah, I understand that, I'm just trying to throw up ideas too.
and in the past, that has been a hit or miss request through BOZA, where it hasn't always been approved. So,
Well, that's because every case is separate, Lori. We can't
correct,
put them
100%.
together.
So that's why I don't want to sit here and, sorry to
Oh,
say
no.
it that way, but to guess whether or not it would be approved, because that's not fair to the applicant.
Okay,
No, I understand.
I don't know if it's unfair as much as it's just putting out ideas that other people have. And if they've been thought of, great. And if they haven't, they're there for consideration.
okay. And then Lori, on that question, so then if that would be where, and Larry too, I'm throwing this out at you. So you're saying that would be like right to the lot line then that slab would be, correct? You were saying? So when you said that would be a 5-foot variance approved?
I'm sorry,
Well,
was
I
that from,
Out there, the concrete has to be 5 feet from the property line.
Right, but if you were going to make it where it was going to be a full 10 feet wide, like pathway with concrete, then you're talking about that concrete would be going right to the property line, correct?
They need a variance for it.
Right,
Correct.
right.
and they might
Okay,
have
I
an
just-
accessibility issue too with that, because they got to compete with, depending on the height of their vehicle, they got to navigate underneath those eaves.
Right.
That's correct. Okay,
There's all kinds of things to consider, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
complicated.
okay. All right. Well, is that it, Larry? Okay.
If you don't mind, these are all great ideas and things that me and Eric, our contractor, thought of as well. The issue with that north side of the house is we've got, what you can't really see on this picture is there's a pretty steep hill there where our grade falls off for water drainage,
Okay,
which would make putting a driveway going back there extremely difficult to do.
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
So no,
Okay.
while I appreciated all the additional thoughts, that's something that we had talked about as well, and that idea how close it would be to the property line, but that's where we've got quite a bit of water that gathers over in this area, and that's where all of it kind of rolls off into, because there's a pretty steep hill there to be able to keep the grade of the house.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Tyson, because that's good to know too. All right. Okay. If there's no other questions, before I close this hearing, if the board grants you this variance, you must start construction within 6 months. If within 6 months you fail to start construction, the building inspector can grant you a 6-month extension. If the construction is not started within 1 year from the date of granting this variance, the variance will expire. Any further extensions, therefore, will require approval from the Board of Zoning Appeals. Do you understand that, Tyson?
Yes, I do.
Okay, or I can repeat it. Okay.
No, completely understand. Thank you.
Okay. All right. If you are denied this variance, you have the right to challenge the board's decision in circuit court, and you must do so within 30 days from the time it is placed on file in the city clerk's office. You cannot appeal the same question for 1 year. You will be notified by mail. Well, actually, I take that back. You won't be notified by mail. You'll actually find out the decision tonight if you elect to stay on the call while we deliberate. Okay. So, and the board will move into deliberation at this time. No more testimony will be heard. I hereby declare the hearing closed at this point for deliberation by the board. Okay, this is in an RS3 district, and the appellant is asking for a variance of 6.75 feet for the extension of the garage. And we're going to have a discussion now.
Well, this is Larry. On our
Okay.
zoning book, I found that clause I was talking about at page 95. Says hardship due to unique property limitations. Unnecessary hardship must be due to unique physical limitations of a property, such as steep slopes or wetlands that prevent compliance with the ordinance. Circumstances of an appellant, growing family, need for a larger garage, etc., are not a factor in deciding variances.
Okay.
And it goes on about property limitations that prevent ordinance compliance that are common to another property should be addressed by amending the ordinance.
Okay. Thanks for bringing that additional information up, Larry. Okay, much appreciated. Okay, do you guys want to go right into the findings? Since we're in discussion, should we do that?
I'm prepared to do that, sure.
Yes.
Okay, everybody agree? All right.
Yep.
Okay. Section 17.1107 findings. No variance to the provisions of this chapter shall be granted by the board unless it finds by a preponderance of the evidence that all following facts and conditions exist and so indicates such in the minutes of its proceedings. A, preservation of intent. No variance shall be granted that is not consistent with the purpose and intent of the regulations for the district in which the development is located. No variance shall have the effect of permitting a use in any district that is not a stated permitted use, accessory use, or conditional use in that particular district. Okay, having a garage addition is a permitted use in our RS3 district.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. All right. B, exceptional circumstances. There must be unique circumstances or conditions applying to the lot or parcel or structure that do not apply generally to other properties of uses in the same zoning classification, and the granting of the variance should not be of so general or recurrent nature as to suggest that the zoning chapter should be changed.
I don't
Would you
feel,
say-
I
Okay.
don't feel exceptional circumstances apply in this case.
I don't think that condition has been met.
Okay. Okay, does Cal, do you agree with that?
Yep, I agree.
Okay. And Larry, do you
I
agree
don't-
with that?
Condition is met either.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So then, let's just go and finish these other ones too right away. Economic hardship and self-imposed hardship. C, not grounds for variance. No variance shall be granted solely on the basis of economic gain or loss. Self-imposed hardship shall not be considered as grounds for granting of a variance. And economic hardship and self-imposed hardship do not apply to this case.
I agree.
Does everybody, okay, everybody agree? Okay.
Agreed.
All right. Okay, D, preservation of property rights. The variance must be necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of substantial property rights possessed by other properties in the same zoning district and same vicinity.
I don't
You-
feel this variance is necessary for this appellant to get full use of his property.
I agree.
Okay,
Larry agrees.
Also agreed.
okay, all right. Okay, now, E, absence of detriment. No variance shall be granted that will create substantial detriment to the adjacent property or that will materially impair or be contrary to the purpose and spirit of this chapter or the public interest. Now, the neighbor, Mike, has clarified that it would not be substantial detriment to his adjacent property. Is there any other comments to be made about this section?
Well, I would just say that my opinion would be that while the neighbor is in agreement with this addition, I do feel like having a structure 3.25 feet from a property line is not necessarily a good thing to do in just about any case.
Okay. Okay, that's a good point, Stacy. All right. Does everybody agree with that?
Larry does.
Larry does? Richard?
Agreed as well. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Tel? Okay, Richard and Tel both agree? Okay. All right, F, additional requirements in floodplain district. Floodplain does not apply to this property. And there are no municipal easements on the property. There's no deed restrictions. I guess based on what we see here from our findings, it looks to me as if there's justification that we would not move forward in approving this variance, correct?
I would happily make a motion to deny this variance or to not grant this variance.
Okay, all right, so Stacy is making a motion to not grant the variance. Do I have a second on this?
This is Richard. I will second that motion.
Okay, a second by Richard. Okay, Stacy, Secretary, please call roll.
Can Stacy,
Oh, you need grounds, my reasons?
yes,
Oh, wait,
please.
yeah, that's
Sorry,
correct.
Carrie. I
That's
guess they would just be very general in that I don't feel the appellant has proven that there are exceptional circumstances in this case, nor would his property rights be limited if he did not get this variance.
Okay, that's, everybody agree with that?
Yep.
Okay,
Richard, yes.
okay. All right, so Secretary, can you please call roll for the motion for decline of the variance?
Bodett,
Aye.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Gregoric.
Aye. Okay, Tyson, I just want to make sure you're out there and you heard the decision of the board.
Yes, I heard it.
Okay. Sorry, we could not move ahead based on our findings. Okay, all right. I officially motion to close this meeting.
Richard, I make a motion that the meeting be closed.
Okay, first by Richard. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Stacy. Secretary, please call roll to adjourn the meeting.
Bodett,
Aye.
Henny,
Aye.
Yerke,
Aye.
Kane,
Aye.
Gregoric.
Aye. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you for everybody attending today, and sorry we had so many problems with the technical side. So thank you for everybody working through this today, and for everybody's input.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you,
Good night.
Andy.
Good night. Good night. Take care.
You too.
Night.